Have you ever wondered if you've unintentionally hurt your child through criticism, imposing rules, or failing to set a good example? How might these seemingly small habits affect your child's soul and future? In this video, we will explore 5 common mistakes many parents make and learn how to change for better parenting rooted in love and understanding. Don't miss this. Just a few minutes could help you become a better parent every day. If you find this content helpful, please subscribe to the channel and like the video to motivate me to create more new videos. You can't do anything right. Or, why aren't you as good as your sibling? These seemingly harmless words spoken in a moment of frustration can leave deep scars on a child's heart. They act like invisible daggers cutting into their self-esteem over time, weakening their resolve and trust in themselves. Criticism isn't just an outlet for a parent's frustration, it's a significant mistake in parenting often overlooked until the consequences become painfully evident. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that words are one of the most powerful tools we have, capable of either building or destroying. Children, with their young and impressionable minds, are particularly vulnerable to the words spoken by the most important people in their lives. When parents constantly criticize, children internalize those words, believing they are not good enough and that their efforts will always fail because they are inherently wrong. These words don't just disappear, they become the negative inner voice the child carries into adulthood. The stories of harm caused by criticism are not uncommon. Imagine a child who loves drawing. They eagerly show their parents a picture they are proud of, only to hear, "That looks terrible. It doesn't even make sense." Will that child want to pick up a pencil again? Gradually, their passion is extinguished, not because they lack talent, but because they fear judgment. As they grow up and face other challenges, they'll replay that same sense of inadequacy, avoiding risks because a voice inside them keeps saying, "I'm not good enough." So why do parents criticize? Most don't intend to harm their children. Many are simply trying to motivate them to do better, or are reacting to personal stress. High expectations, unfair comparisons, and the pressures of work and life often lead parents to lash out. Some, having grown up in environments filled with criticism, unconsciously repeat the same patterns in their own families, unaware of the harm they may be causing. Stoic teachings, like those of Epictetus, remind us, never say anything you don't want engraved on another person's soul. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. They are like scars on stone, enduring through time. As parents, every word you say carries the power to educate. Are you building your child up with encouragement or tearing them down with criticism? Instead of criticizing, parents can choose to encourage and guide. When a child makes a mistake, focus on their actions rather than labeling their character. A phrase like, "You're so lazy," can be replaced with, "This task needs more focus. I believe you can do better." This approach helps the child understand they can change without harming their self-esteem. Praise their efforts instead of only focusing on results. When your child brings home a test, instead of asking, "What's your score?" show interest in their preparation. How did you study for this test? Is there anything you think you could improve? If your child makes a mistake, rather than saying, "You always mess up," try asking, "What do you think could work better next time?" These open-ended questions encourage positive thinking and problem-solving. Parents must also manage their emotions. In moments of anger, it's easy to say harsh words, but taking a deep breath can completely change how you deliver your message. Finally, if you unintentionally hurt your child with your words, don't hesitate to apologize. This action not only mends the relationship, but also teaches a valuable lesson in humility and accountability. Children need to see that even parents make mistakes and are willing to make amends. Remember, every word you speak is a brick in the foundation of your child's character and confidence. Are those bricks strong and positive, or are they shards that will leave your child hurt for a lifetime? Parents always want the best for their children. They hope their kids excel in school, achieve success, and have a bright future. But sometimes, in the effort to fulfill these wishes, parents unintentionally turn their love into a burden. placing their ambitions on their children's shoulders. This doesn't just strip away the child's freedom of choice, it can also distort their sense of self. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that every individual has their own unique path to personal growth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Every person is born with a role to fulfill in life. That role is not determined by others, but discovered by oneself." When parents attempt to predefine their child's path, they interfere with the child's personal journey, creating immense pressure. This often leaves the child feeling that their worth depends solely on meeting their parents' expectations. Imagine a boy who loves painting, but is forced to study medicine because his parents believe being a doctor is a stable and respectable career. Instead of creating colorful artworks, he spends hours poring over textbooks without any passion. The result? He may become a doctor, but he'll be an unhappy one, feeling out of place in a life dictated by his parents. Why do parents impose their ambitions on their children? Partly, it's out of a desire to protect them from the failures or hardships the parents themselves experienced. Another reason is that parents see their children as an opportunity to fulfill their own unrealized dreams. While this often comes from love, this misguided approach leaves the child feeling trapped. Instead of living their passions, they carry the heavy weight of expectations. When they fail to meet these expectations, they are left feeling guilty and defeated. This pressure not only affects the child's mental health, but can also damage the parent-child relationship. Children who feel forced into a certain path often believe their parents don't truly love them for who they are, but rather for the ideal version their parents have envisioned. This can lead to emotional distance or even conflict as the child grows older and seeks independence. Let's come together to support our community. If you are a kind person, please hit the like button on this video and leave some energetic comments to spread positive vibes. Together, we can make a difference. How can parents break this cycle? First, understand that every child is an independent individual with unique passions and abilities. A parent's role isn't to dictate their child's life, but to support them in discovering their potential and living authentically. Start by listening to your child. Ask questions to understand what truly makes them happy. What brings you joy, or what excites you the most? Listen not just to respond, but to respect their dreams and feelings. When children feel heard and understood, they become more confident in pursuing their goals. Support instead of control. If your child is interested in something outside your expertise, resist the urge to dismiss it. Help them explore and experience that field. For instance, if your child wants to learn music, encourage them to take lessons or participate in performances. Instead of pressuring them to succeed immediately, take small steps with them to build skills and passion over time. Parents should also address their own unmet expectations. Don't use your child as a way to fulfill your regrets. If you once dreamed of becoming an artist but couldn't, ask yourself, can you still pursue that dream now instead of projecting it onto your child? Remember, children don't need to live to please their parents. What matters most is that they find meaning and joy in their own lives. Letting go of imposed ambitions not only frees your child, but also liberates you from the pressure of controlling everything. Stoic philosophy teaches, focus on what you can control. You cannot control every choice or future outcome for your child, but you can control how you support and love them. Allow your child to choose their own path and walk alongside them with trust and encouragement. The right path isn't the one you draw for them, it's the one they discover for themselves. That is the greatest gift a parent can give. Why are you crying over this? Or, be strong, it's no big deal. Phrases like these are all too familiar to many parents. While meant to comfort or motivate, these words often dismiss a child's emotions, suggesting that their sadness or disappointment is trivial. What parents may not realize is that this indifference doesn't just hurt, it teaches children to suppress their emotions and lose the ability to understand their own feelings. Children, like adults, have a complex emotional world. They feel sadness when teased by friends, disappointment when things don't go as planned, and fear when faced with the unfamiliar. When parents dismiss these emotions with remarks like, "Don't be scared," "There's nothing to worry about," or "Boys shouldn't be weak," children begin to devalue their feelings. They start to believe that expressing sadness or disappointment is wrong, that showing emotions is a sign of weakness. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to suppress emotions, but to understand and manage them. As Epictetus said, it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment of them. However, how can children grasp this concept if their parents never give them the space to feel and process their emotions in the first place? When a child's emotions are repeatedly invalidated, the consequences go beyond immediate hurt. As they grow older, they may struggle to identify their feelings, hesitate to share their thoughts with others, or even feel ashamed for expressing emotions. This can lead to a chaotic inner life, increasing the risk of anxiety and depression due to a lack of emotional coping skills. A real-life example of this is a young girl whose emotions were constantly dismissed by her parents. When she cried after being bullied at school, her mother said, "Don't pay attention, it's not worth crying over." Instead of feeling comforted, the girl felt isolated, as if her sadness didn't matter. Over time, she stopped sharing her feelings with her mother and dealt with her problems alone. But those suppressed emotions didn't disappear. They accumulated, eventually becoming psychological challenges she had to face as an adult. How can parents change this? First, stop judging your child's emotions. If your child feels upset over something you consider minor, it doesn't mean their feelings aren't valid. Instead of saying, "Why are you crying over this?" try saying, "I can see you're upset. Do you want to talk about it?" This simple acknowledgement makes your child feel heard and understood. Second, help your child name their emotions. If they come home frustrated after a bad test score and say, "I hate this subject," you can guide them to recognize their true feelings. It sounds like you're feeling disappointed or discouraged. Teaching your child to identify their emotions not only helps them process their feelings, but also equips them with better communication skills for their relationships in the future. Another way to support your child is to teach them how to face their emotions instead of avoiding them. For instance, if they're afraid of the dark, instead of saying, "There's nothing to be scared of," empathize with them. "I know being afraid of the dark can be tough. Would turning on a nightlight help? Or do you want to talk about what scares you?" This approach not only provides comfort, but also builds trust, showing your child that you're there to listen and support them. Parents should also model healthy emotional management. If you've had a stressful day and lose your temper, openly acknowledge your feelings. "I've had a rough day, and I lost my patience. I'm sorry." Admitting this not only normalizes emotions, but also teaches your child how to handle them constructively. Connecting with your child's emotions isn't about indulging or spoiling them. It's about laying a strong foundation for their psychological growth. When children feel safe expressing their emotions, they become more resilient and develop empathy for others, skills that will benefit them throughout their lives. Remember, emotions aren't the enemy. They're teachers, helping us understand ourselves and the world around us. Parents don't need to solve every problem for their child, but being present, listening, and walking with them through their emotional struggles is the best way to foster a loving and respectful family relationship. Many parents believe that strict discipline is the only way to raise a successful child. They set rigid rules, demand absolute compliance, and use punishment to enforce control. However, in their quest to maintain order, they often fail to realize that focusing solely on discipline while neglecting emotional connection can create a significant gap in the parent-child relationship. Discipline, if not implemented correctly, can become a heavy burden on a child's shoulders. Children who grow up in such environments often feel constantly monitored and deprived of freedom, leading to either defiance or passivity. They comply not because they understand the reasons, but because they are afraid. This results in surface-level obedience, but destroys intrinsic motivation and self-confidence. Stoic philosophy reminds us, we cannot control others, we can only control our reactions to them. Discipline, at its core, is not a tool for control, but a method to help children develop self-control. However, to achieve this, discipline must be combined with connection and understanding, not rigid commands and punishment. Imagine a child being punished by being made to stand outside the classroom for forgetting to do their homework. Instead of understanding the importance of studying, the child feels only shame and anger. They do not learn responsibility. They learn to avoid mistakes solely to escape punishment. Discipline, when lacking connection, cannot teach children anything profound other than fear and alienation. Why do so many parents focus excessively on discipline? Partly because they want to protect their children from mistakes and serious consequences. Partly because they are influenced by how they were raised. Parents of earlier generations often believed that strict discipline was an expression of love. However, love is not about imposing authority. It is about patient guidance and trust. To raise children effectively, parents need to understand that discipline cannot replace connection. Discipline can establish boundaries, but connection is the bridge that helps children understand and respect those boundaries. If you want your child to follow the rules, start by explaining the reasons behind them. For instance, instead of simply saying, "No phones at night," you could explain, "You need rest to stay alert for school tomorrow. If you use your phone late, you'll feel tired and unable to concentrate." When children understand the purpose, they will more easily accept the rules rather than feeling forced. Another way to balance discipline and connection is to listen before acting. When your child makes a mistake, instead of rushing to judge or punish, ask, "Can you tell me why you did that?" This question not only helps you understand your child better, but also gives them an opportunity to recognize their own mistakes. Listening is a way for parents to show respect and care, which builds trust and empathy. Additionally, parents should use constructive rather than destructive forms of discipline. Instead of punishing your child for a mistake, focus on helping them learn and improve from it. For example, if your child breaks a glass, instead of yelling at them, say, "We need to be more careful next time. Can you help me clean this up?" This not only helps your child take responsibility, but also avoids damaging their self-esteem. Finally, parents need to spend time connecting with their children beyond teaching and disciplining. Moments of playing together, talking, or doing something you both enjoy are the strongest ties that bind. When children feel their parents' love and presence, they will willingly follow the rules out of respect, not fear. Remember, discipline is only truly effective when it is built on a foundation of connection and love. A child who feels understood and valued will learn to regulate their behavior, not because they are forced to, but because they want to become better. Discipline without connection only builds walls that divide. But discipline combined with connection builds bridges that lead to genuine growth. Children learn not only through what they are told, but primarily through what they observe. You can talk endlessly about the value of honesty, but if children see you lying, even in small ways, they will remember the action over the words. A lack of good role models not only diminishes a child's trust in their parents, but also fosters bad habits and skewed values in their lives. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that to teach others, one must first live by the principles they wish to impart. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't just talk about how to live in a way that shows how one should live." This is a reminder that actions are far more persuasive than words. As a parent, if you fail to embody the values you teach your child, you not only reduce the effectiveness of your guidance, but also create internal conflicts for your child. Imagine a child being taught that keeping promises is essential, but frequently witnessing their parents break promises, such as failing to attend a school performance or forgetting a planned outing. This not only disappoints the child, but also makes them feel that promises are something that can be broken. As a result, the child may grow up repeating this behavior, failing to take responsibility for their own words and actions. Another common example is when parents teach their children not to lie, but then lie in front of them. For instance, calling in sick to work when they simply want a day off. For children, this sends a clear message that lying is acceptable as long as there is a justification. This inconsistency gradually erodes the value of honesty and diminishes the child's trust in their parents. So how can you become a good role model for your child? First, start by evaluating your own behavior. Ask yourself, am I living by the values I'm teaching my child? If the answer is no, then it's time to make a change. Children don't need perfect parents, but they do need adults who are consistent and genuine. Another way to model good behavior is to admit your mistakes. When you do something wrong, don't hesitate to acknowledge it in front of your child. If you've broken a promise or lost your temper, apologize and explain, "I'm sorry for not keeping my promise. That wasn't right, and I'll do better next time." This doesn't diminish your authority. On the contrary, it teaches your child that mistakes are a natural part of life, and that the important thing is to take responsibility and correct them. Additionally, live out the values you want your child to learn. If you want them to value family time, spend quality time together playing, talking, or sharing experiences. If you want them to learn the importance of helping others, involve them in acts of kindness, such as volunteering or assisting neighbors. Your actions will be the most vivid and effective lessons for your child. Equally important, maintain consistency when explaining values or appropriate behaviors. If you encourage your child not to gossip about others, ensure you don't engage in gossip yourself, even in private conversations. Children are highly attuned to contradictions and will quickly notice if your words and actions don't align. Finally, remember that being a role model isn't just a responsibility, but an opportunity for self-improvement. Parenting is a journey that allows each of us to become better versions of ourselves. By striving to live in accordance with the values we teach, we not only help our children grow, but also create a family environment built on trust and respect. Keep in mind that children are always watching, even when you think they're not paying attention. What you do today will shape the values and behaviors of your child in the future. So live as though you're teaching a lesson, because in reality, you are, every single day. Parenting isn't about perfecting oneself. It's about awakening to the areas where growth is needed and making those improvements daily. Excessive criticism, imposing ambitions, dismissing emotions, focusing on discipline while neglecting connection, or failing to model good behavior. These are traps any parent can fall into. But rather than dwelling on guilt, see these as opportunities to learn and grow. Children don't need all-powerful parents. They need companions who truly listen, understand, and guide them with love. Start with the smallest gestures, a kind word, consistent actions, or a comforting hug when they're upset. The changes you make today will become the solid foundation for a hopeful and fulfilling future. Thank you for watching this video. Let's support our wonderful community by hitting subscribe and turning on notifications right now. Show everyone that you're living kindly by liking the video and sharing your experiences in the comments. Take action now to spread positive energy.